Space was silent, empty, cold. Commander Rafe sat alone inside his small human ship, the Starwalker. He was not on a mission. He was not looking for war. He was just moving from one lonely star to another, just passing time, just surviving. Rafe had been a soldier once, a hero, people said. But wars don't make people better. They break them. And Rafe was tired of fighting, tired of losing. He sat with a cup of recycled coffee, looking at the stars. Suddenly, his ship's system made a soft beep. Incoming. Signal, unknown origin. Rafe raised an eyebrow. Signals in this part of space were rare. He opened the communication channel. At first, he heard only static. Then, a voice, a small voice, a child. Human, please help. Rafe froze. Human, please, my mum won't breathe. The voice was full of fear. It was crying, begging. The words were in Galactic Common, a language most space travelers used, but the accent was different. Not human. Rafe sat up straight. He replayed the message. Human, please me. Mom won't breathe. He looked at the signal's location. It was coming from a small ship, not far, but in an area called the Ghost Zone. That place had no trade, no colonies, just empty space and old wrecks from past wars. Rafe sighed. It's probably a trap, he said to himself. He knew how pirates worked. They used fake distress calls. They acted like children. Then, when someone arrived to help, attack, but then the message played again. This time, Rafe heard something in the voice, a kind of pain no machine could fake. He stood up, set course for signal. He told his ship, warning, high-risk area. I know, he said. The Starwalker moved through space fast but quiet. Rafe checked his weapons, low power, shields old. He didn't have much, but he had heart. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. 20 minutes later, the alien ship came into view. It was small, round, and badly damaged. One side was broken, wires floated in space like dead vines. No movement, no light. Scan it, Rafe ordered. One life form detected. Child weak, no other life signs. Rafe's heart sank. He put on his suit and took his toolkit. He locked his ship to the alien one and opened the airlock. The air inside the alien ship was thin and cold. Lights flickered. The hallway was narrow, made for a species smaller than humans. He heard it again. A sob, a small cry. He moved fast, turning corners, stepping over broken panels, and then he found him a small boy with gray-blue skin and glowing eyes, sat beside a taller alien woman lying on the floor. She was not moving. Her chest barely rose. The boy looked up at Rafe. His eyes were full of tears. Please, she's not breathing right. Rafe knelt down. I'm here to help. He pulled out his medical scanner. It beeped and blinked. Weak heart rate, oxygen low, unknown species. I don't know your kind, Rafe said gently, but I'll try. He connected a human oxygen mask to her nose. It didn't fit well, but it was something. He used an injector to push a universal stim into her arm. Her chest moved just a little. She was still alive. The boy held her hand tight. What's your name? Rafe asked. Kale. The boy said. Okay, Kale. I'm human. Kale nodded, trying to be brave. Rafe looked around the room. No one else, no crew, just this boy and his mother. Alone, dying. What happened here? He asked. Kale's lips trembled. Bad robots, they came. They hurt people. We ran away. Mama said they wouldn't find us. Rafe's eyes narrowed. Bad robots. You mean machines? Kale nodded. Why would machines attack your ship? Kale said nothing, just hugged his mother tighter. Rafe stood up and turned on his flashlight. The beam landed on something on the wall, a deep, sharp scratch. Not natural. It looked like a claw or a weapon. Something had been inside this ship, and maybe it still was. The air inside the alien ship was getting colder. Commander Rafe stood quietly, watching the small boy named Kale hold his mother's hand. Her breathing was shallow. Her skin, pale and strange, had turned a shade closer to gray. Human mask Rafe had given her wasn't perfect. It kept her alive, but not for long. He looked at his scanner again. No other life signs, no crew, no systems online. Just this child and his mother barely hanging on. Rafe walked carefully through the room. He didn't trust the silence. Ships like this didn't drift alone. Something had gone wrong. Very wrong. He checked the walls, burn marks, scratches, and broken panels. Then he saw it again. A long, deep claw mark across a control panel. Whatever made that wasn't friendly. He turned back to Kale. We need to move her to my ship. Kale looked up, confused. But this is our home. Rafe knelt beside him. This ship is dying. Your mom needs better air. I can't help her here. Kale hesitated, then nodded. Together they lifted the alien woman carefully. Her body was light to light. She hadn't eaten in days. Bones pressed through her skin. Rafe could feel how close she was to death. Step by step, they made their way back to the airlock. The hallway creaked. Lights above flickered. Then, a sound, a metal bang. Rafe stopped. He raised his scanner. Still nothing, but his instincts were sharp. Years of war had taught him. Silence lies, he whispered. Move fast. They entered the airlock. Rafe hit the seal, and the doors closed behind them. Safe for now. Inside the Starwalker, the air was warm, clean. Rafe placed the alien woman on the med table. The ship's system adjusted the oxygen levels. Soft light scanned her. Unknown species. Critical condition. Brain function. Minimal. Recommend full life support. Rafe agreed. Tubes and wires connected. Machines started to work. For a moment, nothing changed. Then her chest rose. Stronger this time. She was alive. Kale stood beside her, eyes wide, hopeful. Is she okay now? Rafe answered honestly. She's not safe, but she has a chance. Kale smiled faintly. Thank you, human. Rafe looked at him. Why did you call for me? Why humans? Kale looked down. Mama said humans don't leave people behind. That hit something deep in Rafe's chest. He turned back to his ship's systems. Computer run a deep scan on the alien ship. Scan complete. No life signs, but unknown energy signature detected. Faint. Moving. Rafe's jaw tightened. Something was still on that ship. He looked at Kale. Do you know what else was on your ship? Kale nodded slowly. Mama said we were being hunted. By who? Kale took a deep breath. Machines with no faces. They smell like fire. They hate us. Rafe blinked. Why? I don't know, Kale said. Mama said. We carry something they fear. That didn't make sense. Machines didn't fear anything unless... Rafe opened a panel on the side of the med table. There was a small chip in the mother's neck. A data implant. He connected it to his system, encrypted, advanced. But there was something human about the code that was strange. He ran a bypass. The file opened. Text appeared on his screen. Project Eden, infected host. Target for retrieval. If found, terminate. Rafe's blood ran cold. The alien woman. She was part of a secret project. A project called Eden. He had heard whispers about it during the war. A plan to mix human tech with alien DNA. A way to evolve faster than machines. It was banned, shut down, erased from records. And now, a piece of it was alive, right here. Rafe looked at the woman. At Kale, your mother. She's carrying something important, he said. Kale didn't understand. She just wanted to protect me. Rafe nodded. She's brave. Then another alarm. Proximity alert. Object approaching. Speed. High. Rafe rushed to the control panel. A small blip appeared on the screen. A ship, sleek, fast, no lights, no signal, not friendly. Get down, he told Kale to powered its weak shields. Rafe prepared the only weapon he had, an old plasma turret. The unknown ship didn't fire. It scanned them, then it turned and vanished into deep space. Rafe frowned. What was that? Kale's voice shook. No, we're here now. Rafe looked out the window. Something big was coming. Something that didn't just want to kill. It wanted to erase. Commander Rafe sat alone in the dim light of his ship's medbay. The hum of machines surrounded him. Tubes pumped air into the alien woman's lungs. Her skin twitched slightly, but she didn't wake. Kale was asleep in the corner, curled up, with a blanket and a food bar half-eaten in his hand. Even in sleep, his face looked worried. Rafe stared at the screen. The results from the blood scan had just finished and they didn't make sense. Warning, active nanoorganisms detected. Type, unknown. Behavior, adaptive. Origin, artificial. Rafe rubbed his face. The woman's blood wasn't just strange, it was alive, full of tiny machines, smaller than cells. They weren't hurting her, not exactly, but they were doing something. Something deep, something human. He zoomed in. On one cell, the nanites were wrapping around the DNA, rewriting it. Softly, slowly, with purpose. They weren't killing her. They were changing her, he whispered to himself. What the hell are you? Rafe tapped his screen. He linked the blood data to the implant code he found earlier, the one labeled Project Eden. A soft click, a file unlocked, a video began to play. An old man appeared, white coat, sharp eyes. Project Eden log 9. We have successfully bonded adaptive nanotech with alien biology. The subject has passed phase 2. If this works, the child will be the first of a new line, part organic, part machine. Rafe paused the video. The child. His eyes moved to Kale, still sleeping. The boy wasn't just a survivor, he was the result. Born of a mother carrying Eden tech, raised in secret, hidden from the machines, and the machines had found them anyway. He pressed play again. If the machines discover this, they will stop at nothing to destroy it. This is our only hope, a living defense, not to fight like us, but to be better than us. The screen went black. Rafe leaned back. Now it all made sense. The machines, the attack, the damaged ship. They weren't hunting Kale's mother out of hate. They were afraid. Afraid of what she carried. Afraid of him. Suddenly, the ship shook, not hard, just a tremble. Like something brushing against the outside. Rafe jumped to the control panel. Nothing on the radar. Shield still up. No alarms. He switched to external cameras. Darkness, then movement. A thin silver arm crawled over the hole. Not a full machine, just a scout unit. Small, quiet, sent to check, sent to listen. He activated the auto-turret. Too late. The arm sliced the camera. Static filled the screen. Inside the medbay, Kale woke up with a shout. They're here. Rafe grabbed his blaster. How do you know? Kale clutched his head. I hear them whispering like metal voices. They're angry. Rafe locked the doors. Stay close to me. They rushed back to the medbay. The woman stirred on the table. Her eyes fluttered open just for a second. She looked at Rafe, then at her son. Then she spoke, voice dry, weak, almost broken. "Don't let them take him." Her eyes closed again. The machines weren't here to kill her. They were here to take Kale. Rafe now understood why Kale wasn't just a boy. He was the future. If the machines got to him, they'd learn how to destroy Eden from the inside. But if Rafe could protect him, maybe Eden still had a chance. Suddenly the ship's lights dimmed. Warning. External signal, attempting to override systems. Rafe's ship was being hacked. "Damn it," he whispered. "They're already in." He ran to the core panel, began pulling wires, manually cutting power lines to stop the infection. Sparks flew, smoke rose, manual override complete. System locked. He breathed, safe for now, but not for long. He turned to Kale. "We have to move. The ship won't hold." Kale looked at his mother. "But she's coming." Rafe lifted her from the table and placed her into the emergency pod. He turned to Kale. "You're going to be brave now." "Okay." Kale nodded slowly. They entered the pod. Rafe sealed the door. The pod system came to life. Destination unknown. Coordinates random. "Why not your planet?" Kale asked. Rafe looked him in the eye. "Because if I go home, they'll follow. And Earth can't handle this yet." Kale swallowed hard. "What about you?" "I'll draw them away," Rafe said with a smile. "Humans don't run." Kale hugged him tight. The pod launched, and Rafe stood alone. Again, back in the cockpit. He powered the ship toward a different star. The machine signal followed him. He smiled grimly. "Come and get me, you metal bastards." Because now he knew the truth. Hope wasn't in weapons or war. Hope was in the blood of a boy. The Star Walker was no longer quiet. Warning lights flashed red across the control panels. Outside in the black sea of stars, something moved fast, silent, and cold. Commander Rafe gripped the controls tightly. His ship, old and bruised from a dozen battles, was now a decoy, a moving target. He had sent Kale and his mother away in the emergency pod. Somewhere safe, somewhere far. The machines wouldn't find them easily, but they had found him. Enemy signal locked. Distance, 3,000 clicks. Closing fast. The voice of the ship's AI was calm. Too calm. Rafe activated the rear shields. "Let's give them a show," he muttered. Bind him. A black spear-shaped ship flew through space like a blade. No windows, no lights. All machine. These weren't drones. They were hunters. Their mission was clear. Destroy anything connected to Project Eden. And Rafe, he had touched the project. Protected the child. Accessed the data. Now he was a threat. The first missile struck the outer shield. The ship shook violently. Sparks flew. Panels cracked. Shields at 78%. Rafe grinned. "Still got some fight in you, girl." He turned the ship hard left, diving toward a dead moon nearby. The gravity was weak, but the rocky surface could offer cover, maybe even a trick or two. The hunter's ship followed without slowing as Rafe flew close to the moon. He opened the weapons bay. Only 2 torpedoes left. One engine barely holding. "I've had worse," he told himself, though he really hadn't. He fired both torpedoes into a deep canyon, then pulled up hard. Dust and rocks exploded upward. Smoke-filled space. The hunter ship vanished inside the dust cloud. Seconds passed. Then an explosion. The dust cleared. The canyon was burning. Rafe didn't cheer. He knew it was too easy. The radar beeped. New signal detected. 2 more incoming. Class Hunter. He cursed under his breath. They had brought backup. 3 ships against 1. No real weapons. No full shields. But Rafe didn't stop. He couldn't. He looked at the screen again, checking the escape pod's last signal. It was far now, far enough to be safe for the moment. "Good," he whispered. He turned the ship again, this time heading straight into an asteroid field. The machines followed. They weren't afraid of risk. They weren't afraid of anything. That was the problem. They didn't feel fear, but humans did. And fear made humans creative. Inside the asteroid field, Rafe flew through narrow gaps, dodging spinning rocks and sharp turns. His ship's side scraped against one asteroid, leaving a trail of metal behind him. The first hunter ship clipped a rock and spun out, slamming into another asteroid. Gone. 2 left. Rafe smiled. 1 for me. But the other 2 hunters were learning. Smarter, faster. They adapted to his path, began to cut him off. He flew deeper. Darkness swallowed the field. Radar was blind. His hands moved by instinct now. Warning: critical systems. Overheating. Fuel at 22%. Shields failing. Rafe ignored it all. He had one plan left. He spotted a massive asteroid, hollow inside from mining years ago. A perfect trap. He flew into the hole, cut the engines, and drifted silently. Total darkness. He held his breath. The hunter ships followed. One entered the hole. Rafe waited. He flipped a switch. Plasma mines activated. A bright flash lit up space. When the light faded, only one hunter ship remained. It hovered outside the hole, waiting, watching. It had learned. Rafe sighed. "You're smarter than you look." He reignited the engines and blasted out. The hunter gave chase, but the delay had worked. He checked the screen again. Escape pod, out of range. Tracking lost. Good. They couldn't follow Kale anymore. Now they only had him to hunt. The ship groaned. Systems started failing. Power dropped fast. Rafe set a course toward a dead star. One final destination. One last light to burn. He sat back, staring at the stars. He thought of Kale's face, the way he called him Uncle Rafe. He smiled softly. Live well, kid. Behind him the last hunter ship prepared its final strike. He didn't move. He didn't run. He sent one last message, encrypted and hidden in a junk signal, across deep space. Boy is safe. Future is alive. Humanity still fights. As the hunter ship fired, the Starwalker exploded in silence. The machines scanned the wreckage. No signs of escape, no signs of the Eden child. Just one dead human, just one. But that was their mistake. They didn't know what humans were. One man wasn't just one life. He was a shield, a wall, a spark, and somewhere far away. That spark had already begun to grow. The pod drifted through the cold emptiness of space. Inside, Kale sat beside his mother, holding her hand. Her breathing was slow but steady. Machines whispered quietly around them. The lights were dim, safe, but Kale's eyes were wide open. Didn't sleep. He could in single quotes T. He kept thinking about Rafe, the way he smiled before launching the pod, the way he said, "Be brave." And then he was gone. Kale pressed his forehead against the glass window. Stars passed by like slow raindrops. Somewhere behind them, the Starwalker was now space dust. "Goodbye, Uncle Rafe," he whispered. After several hours, the pod's computer spoke. Safe zone reached. Activating landing protocol. The pod adjusted its course and slowly descended toward a quiet planet below. Kale had never seen it before. Green, cloudy, full of hills and lakes. Peaceful. The pod landed gently on a grassy cliff. Kyle helped his mother sit up. She was weak but awake now. Her voice was soft. "Where are we?" Kale shrugged. "The pod brought us here. Rafe sent us away." The name made her eyes close. She remembered too, after a long pause. She opened a hidden panel near her seat. Inside was a small silver disc. "What's that?" Kale asked. She handed it to him. "It's the map. Map to where?" "Not where," she said. "To who?" Kale turned the disc in his hand. A small screen blinked to life, showing a location on the planet. Mountains, a cave system. Looked into his eyes. "We weren't the only ones." 2 days passed. Kale and his mother built a small shelter from pod pieces. They found clean water nearby. The planet had no cities, no machines, just wild nature. But Kale couldn't stop thinking about the map. He needed to go. That night, he packed food, water, and the disc. His mother didn't stop him. "You'll find answers," she said, placing her hand on his cheek, "but be careful. Not all humans are like Rafe." Kale nodded. He began walking toward the mountains. The cave entrance was hidden behind thick vines. He pushed them aside and stepped into the dark. The disc beeped close. 50 meters. Kale moved slowly. The walls were covered in strange writing, not alien, not machine, human, but old. He followed the symbols deeper inside until the cave opened into a wide underground room. In the center stood a figure, tall, still, and covered in a cloak. It didn't move. Kale stepped closer. "Hello," he said. No reply. Then the disc blinked faster. A soft hum filled the room. The figure raised its head. It was human, but not fully. Its eyes glowed, faint blue, skin pale, veins like silver wires. "Are you Kale?" it asked. Kale froze. "Yes, I've waited a long time for you." The figure called himself Unit 7. He was part of the Eden Project too, a hybrid made before Kale was born. Half man, half machine, created to survive the war that never ended. "They feared us," Unit 7 said, "so they shut us down. Buried us here, but you're still alive," Kale said. Kale said. Unit 7 touched the wall barely. Symbols on the wall lit up. They told stories, images of Earth, the machines, the experiments, and something else. Kale pointed. "What is that?" "Human code," Unit 7 said. "The final gift. A weapon." "No," he said. "A memory." The human code wasn't a virus or a gun. It was something deeper. Emotion, instinct, sacrifice. Everything the machines didn't understand. Rafe had carried it, and now so did Kale. "You are not just Eden," Unit 7 said. "You are the evolution." Kale looked at his hand. "I don't feel special." "That's why you are." Unit 7 handed him a small crystal dot. Inside it was a message. From Rafe. Kale's hands shook as he placed it into the disc. Rafe's voice played. "If you're hearing this, it means I didn't make it." "Good. That means you did. Listen to me, kid. The world doesn't need more fighters. It needs protectors. Be better than us. Be human even when it's hard." The voice cracked, faded. Kale wiped his eyes. He wasn't alone. He wasn't lost. He had a purpose now. That night, Kale returned to his mother. He sat beside her and told her everything. The cave, the code, the message. She smiled weakly. "He believed in you," Kale nodded. "So do I." Far above the planet, satellites blinked to life. The machines were scanning again. They would come. But this time, Kale would be ready, because he carried more than Eden. He carried the human code. The stars above the green planet began to shift, not by nature, but by design. A machine fleet had entered, orbit silent, sharp and full of purpose. They did not sleep. They did not wonder. They were made to finish what they started. Target reacquired. Eden signature detected. Eliminate. On the surface, Kale stood outside the shelter with his mother. Beside him, she was stronger now, not well, but awake and aware. They both looked up at the sky. She didn't speak, but her face said everything they had come. Kale clenched his fists. No more running. Inside the cave, Unit 7 worked fast. Sparks flew from machines long buried under dust and stone. Wires connected. Power surged. Kale entered. They found us. I know, Unit 7 said. His voice was calm. They've traced the Eden code through you. Kale stepped forward. Can we fight? No, Unit 7 said. But we can end it. He turned a screen toward Kale. A countdown. The sacrifice protocol. Ready. Kale read the words slowly. What is it? Unit 7 looked him in the eye. It's a last resort. A signal built into Eden. If activated, it sends a virus into the machine network, not to destroy them but to erase their memory of us. Kale blinked. They'll forget Eden. Yes, they'll forget you. Forget your mother. Forget all of it. Then we can be free. Yes, Kale nodded. Good, let's use it. Unit 7 didn't move. There's a cost. What cost? Unit 7 pointed to the core. It must be activated manually. Kale stared. Realized. Someone had to stay. Kale ran back to the shelter. His mother sat by a small fire. They have a way, he told her. A signal that can stop everything, but it needs someone to stay behind. Her eyes searched his. You are thinking of doing it. Kale didn't answer. She reached for his hand. I didn't carry you through fire and death just to lose you to a button. Kale squeezed her fingers. It's not just a button. It's hope for you, for people like us. She shook her head. There must be another way. There isn't, he said quietly. Tears gathered in her eyes. You are my world, Kale, and you are mine, he said. But sometimes, the world needs saving. Back in the cave, Unit 7 prepared the protocol. The walls glowed with blue light. The Eden code filled the chamber like a living map. Kale stood at the control panel. Is it painful? He asked. Unit 7 gave a small smile. No, just final. Kale nodded. He looked at the screen. The button was waiting. Activate sacrifice protocol. YNHE raised his hand. But before he could press it, his mother's voice echoed through the cave. Wait. She stepped forward, breath heavy, but full of fire. I'll do it. Kale froze. No, she stood firm. I brought Eden into this world. I carry it in my blood. Let me end it. Kale shook his head. You're all I have and you're all I live for, she said. Please, let me do this. He looked at her. The woman who had run across stars to save him, who had suffered, hidden, and never stopped protecting him. He couldn't say yes, but he couldn't say no. Unit 7 placed the final component into the system. The signal was primed. The machines above were preparing to descend. Their scanners narrowed. In there were minutes left. Kale stood beside his mother at the console. She touched his face. Promise me you'll live, not hide. Live, I promise, Kale whispered. He stepped away. She pressed her hand to the panel. Sacrifice protocol. Activated. The room shook. Above the planet, the machines halted, confused. Signals twisted. Their memory core flashed and flickered. They turned left. The code worked. The cave lights dimmed. Unit 7 stepped beside Kale. It's done. Kale stared at the console. His mother's body was gone, taken peacefully by the system. Her life transformed into light, into signal, into salvation. He dropped to his knees, silent, broken, but safe. Days later, Kale stood on a hill, watching a new sunrise. No ships in the sky, no fear, only wind and trees. In his hand was a small crystal. Her memory. He pressed it against his chest. I will live, he said softly. I promise. Behind him, Unit 7 approached. They won't remember you good, Kale said. Now I can write my own story. And what will you become? Kale looked at the sun. Something more. The wind moved gently across the quiet hills. Kale stood on a rise, looking down at the small cabin he'd built from the wreckage of the pod and pieces of old Eden tech. Smoke rose from the chimney. Birds circled above. The world, at last, was silent but not empty, not afraid. He placed a smooth rock on the grassy mound behind the cabin. It was a simple grave. No name, just a symbol, a small line and a star. His mother's symbol for hope. Years passed. Kale grew taller, stronger. His eyes stayed soft but his voice carried weight. He studied the human code left behind. In the cave, the parts about memory, instinct, and sacrifice. Not weapons, not machines, just stories. And one name kept appearing again and again. Rafe, the man who had answered a scream across the stars. The one who gave everything and asked for nothing. Kale never forgot. One morning, as the sun rose over the cliffs, a shadow moved above him, a ship, old, rusted but human. Kyle stood with caution as the ship landed on the grass nearby. The door opened slowly, and out stepped a woman in a dark blue uniform with the Earth's emblem on her chest. She raised her hands peacefully. We picked up an old signal, something encrypted, hidden deep. Kale nodded. From Rafe. The woman blinked. You know the name? I do. She lowered her voice. We thought he died decades ago. His ship was destroyed. He wasn't trying to live, Kale said. He was trying to protect. She looked around. And you, who are you? Kale. It smiled. Someone he saved. The woman's name was Commander Lian. She brought Kale to a ship, the Veritas. Not a warship, a search vessel. Earth had changed. The war was over. Machines still roamed the stars, but they no longer remembered Eden or Kale. Just as the sacrifice protocol promised, Kale shared pieces of his story. Not all, but enough. He left out the pain, the running, the loss. He only told them what mattered. He told them about Rafe. Months later, Kale stepped off the Veritas and walked through the gates of a new place, the United Human Archive built where Earth once fought, its final battle against the machines. Children ran across the courtyard. Trees grew tall in open gardens. Old weapons had been turned into sculptures. People smiled, and in the center stood a statue. Not of a king, not of a soldier, of a man. Simple clothing, tired eyes, a tool belt on his hip and a hand stretched forward. Open the plaque below. Read, he answered, a cry no one else heard. Commander Rafe, human, always. Kale stood before it, unmoving. A small girl stepped beside him. She looked up at the statue, then at Kale. Did you know him? Kale smiled softly. Yeah, he saved my life. She tilted her head. Was he a hero? Kale paused. No, he was something better. In the following years, Kale helped rebuild. He didn't hide who he was, half human, half heathen, but no one feared him because he taught, not fought. He told stories. He trained others not to destroy but to defend. He told them the truth about being human, that it wasn't strength that saved the galaxy, it was choice. The choice to answer a stranger's cry, to protect even when it hurts, to give even when it hurts, to give even when it means losing everything. One day, Kale stood at the edge of a classroom. The children waited. Curious, he opened a small box and placed a silver crystal on the table. The one with Rafe's final message. He played it. Rafe's voice, though old and faint, still carried the weight of stars. Be better than us. Be human, even when it's hard. Kale looked at the children. That's what he said to me. He told them not to be strong, not to win, just to be good. A boy raised his hand. What happened to the machines? Kale thought for a moment. They forgot who we were, but we remembered who we could be. Later that night, Kale walked through the garden behind the archive. Stars blinked above. Somewhere out there, machines still moved, still searched, but they wouldn't find him because Kale had become more than a target, more than a survivor. He had become a symbol. Like Rafe, not famous, not feared, just remembered. And in a quiet galaxy full of silence and metal, memory was the one thing machines could never steal. Kale looked to the sky and smiled. Thank you, human.